Colts have created the perfect rebuild in the most imperfect way. After sitting out all of the 2017 season, and it being a possibility that he may never play again, Andrew Luck was absolutely unbelievable this season, and he's one of my favorite players to watch in the NFL. The Colts made the playoffs this season as a wildcard team, but they lost to Kansas City in the second round. But that was a huge success considering how they started off the season. This video will consist of 3 key people in the organization that made this thing work and get them into the playoffs after starting out 1-5. Andrew Luck obviously is number 1 on the list, then GM Chris Ballard, and finally head coach Frank Reich. Andrew Luck entered the NFL in 2012 and was the number 1 pick in the draft that year. This was a huge deal for the Colts because they were able to move on from Peyton Manning and get themselves a sure lock at a franchise quarterback in the process. In their first season with Luck, they were able to make the playoffs in a magical run that ended with them losing in the wildcard game versus the Ravens. The reason this was a magical year was because their first year head coach Chuck Pagano was sadly diagnosed with leukemia and had to sit out weeks 5 through 16. The Colts rallied for their head coach, and the offensive coordinator Bruce Arians took over as head coach and took the Colts to the playoffs. Luck led the team to 11 wins, which was a record amount for a rookie quarterback, while also taking the worst team in the NFL the year before back to the playoffs. The 2013 season, Bruce Arians left to become the head coach of the Cardinals, and Chuck Pagano took back over as head coach. The Colts finished the season with an 11-5 record and made the playoffs. This year they faced the Chiefs in a wildcard game, and it was one of the craziest comebacks you will ever see. Andrew Luck led the Colts back to win the game 45-44, even though the Colts were down at one point by 28 points. The Colts faced the Patriots in the next round but lost 43-22. In 2014, the Colts again finished the year with an 11-5 record. Luck led the team to playoff wins over the Bengals and their former quarterback Peyton Manning and the Broncos, before losing to the Patriots in the AFC Championship. But the 2015 season would start a conversation for the Colts that had caused them to struggle over the past 3 seasons before this year. In weeks 4 through 5, Andrew Luck would miss these games due to a shoulder issue he suffered in week 3 versus the Titans. The injury was in his right shoulder, and even though there was no structural damage, this would start something scary for the Colts. Andrew returned that year, but during the bye week, the Colts again announced Andrew Luck would miss 2 to 6 weeks because of a lacerated kidney. This caused Andrew Luck to miss the rest of the season, and the Colts finished 8-8. There is something new that happened between the 2015 season and the 2016 season that was very important to discuss. Luck went snowboarding and sprained his AC joint in his shoulder. Now, Luck said that this wasn't connected to the labrum issue, but it was still another setback. At the beginning of the 2016 season, Luck was constantly on the injury report, and there was still concerns about his labrum. Even though he never missed a game this season, except for one due to a concussion, there was still questions as what Luck was dealing with because of these injury reports. But there was still real concern because the Colts again finished 8-8 and looked like a completely different team from the years past because of Luck's injury concerns. And these concerns were officially addressed on January 19th of 2017 because Andrew Luck had quick shoulder surgery to help with his lingering concern. And this small surgery that was supposed to make a quick impact did quite the opposite. Luck was supposed to be ready by the beginning of the season, but the closer we got, the more concerns grew. Luck missed the first 6 games, but after 9 months, he finally returned to practice in October. But after a couple weeks of testing his arm and seeing if he would be ready to return, the Colts shut Andrew Luck down on November 2nd, and he would miss the rest of the season. Andrew was advised not to throw the ball for 2 to 3 months, and he missed all of the 2017 season, which caused the Colts to finish 4-12. This was Colts GM Ryan Grigson and head coach Chuck Pagano's final season, before the Colts decided to clean house and change direction. And now we can change direction from Andrew Luck to the players' side of things. Ryan Grigson served as general manager from 2012 through 2016 for the Colts. People often criticized him for making poor decisions because Andrew Luck constantly had to carry the Colts and never had a good offensive line. Now, he did draft T.Y. Hilton, who has turned out to be the best selection besides Andrew Luck. But trading for Trent Richardson and never fixing the offensive line caused many frustrations amongst fans, and Ryan Grigson was finally replaced after the 2016 season. And the Colts hired Chris Ballard to become the team's next general manager. Ballard worked in the Chiefs front office from 2013 through 2017, and the Colts hired him before the 2017 season, and this was the start of something special. I knew Chris Ballard would do great because he is a no-nonsense guy, and he was going to hire people who would work hard and get the Colts back to the top. Ballard made quick fixes and took ownership over fixing this team. In the past 2 seasons, Ballard has fixed a lot of the Colts' issues that have plagued them over the years. He got Andrew Luck a good backup quarterback in Jacoby Brissett, he traded for Eric Ebron, and has completely revived his career. He drafted Quentin Nelson and Braden Smith in the 2018 draft, and those two have started on the offensive line and have been nothing but exceptional. Also in that draft, he drafted the NFL's leading tackler in the 2018 season in Darius Leonard. So Chris Ballard, after 2 seasons, you can tell he knows what he is doing, and boy, he is doing a good job at it. Now, one move he made was hiring his own head coach. The Colts let go of Chuck Pagano after the 2017 season, and the Colts looked at Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels to become their next head coach. And when the Colts officially announced he was their next head coach, he backed out, and Chris Ballard had to search for a new guy. They made a smart move by looking for an offensive guy still, and the Colts found their guy in Eagles offensive coordinator Frank Reich. Frank actually worked with the Colts from 2008 through 2011, and then he moved on to the Cardinals and Chargers before becoming the Eagles offensive coordinator. But with the Eagles, he didn't call plays, but that didn't matter honestly. He still played a big part in their offensive success and was a big reason why they won the Super Bowl. So the Colts hiring Frank was a match made in heaven. They got an offensive guy and someone who had a chip on their shoulder, and best of all, a former Colt. And this three-headed monster of Luck, Reich, and Ballard got to work for the 2018 season. And this year proved why the Colts are going to be one of the best teams for a long time in the NFL. They faced real adversity. Starting the year off 1-5 was a tough pill to swallow. They were in all of their games though, but they just fell short a couple times. They had questionable calls, like going for it on 4th down in overtime versus the Texans, but that play proved why the Colts are different. Frank Reich was playing to win, not to tie. And this mindset is throughout the entire organization with the Colts. And that's why the Colts finished the year 9-1 and booking a matchup with the Texans in the playoffs. Now the Colts did beat the Texans in the playoffs, and even though they lost versus the Chiefs, the future is extremely bright. I can't wait to see what the Colts do in the future, because even at points when you think their season is a wash, they kept fighting and playing hard. And that's the number one sign your culture has changed, and that's why the Colts are so scary. With a healthy Andrew Luck, anything is possible, and it is not going to be long before the Colts get back to the Super Bowl. The past 2 times the Super Bowl was in Miami, the Colts were in them, and next year's Super Bowl is in Miami. Just wanted to end the video with that. Thanks for watching.